Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. All right, y'all. Here we go. Um, yes, I'm coming in a little late, so I wanted to, give time to those who normally come to this hour, but might be looking at the TV, saying, I want to see what's going to be said. Not going to mention what I'm talking about. You just got to know what I'm talking about, simply because, for the most part, I got to make sure that my show actually stays in a lane of entertainment. Okay. So certain things I just don't talk about at all. Certain words I don't use at all, primarily because um, I want to stay in the lane of entertainment. Okay. First of all, shout out to all those who consistently come and watch the show. My numbers might be where they are, but they are consistent. Okay. And I'm always thankful to those who say, you know what? I know I'm catching him at the beginning of whatever he's going to be doing, but I kind of like it. I kind of like it. And I mean, it's cool. I know that my brand of discussion is not for everyone, you know. Um it's not something that's just going to come in. I'm not going to come in and be hyperbolic. I'm not going to just be loud and wrong just for the sake of getting numbers. I'm hoping that at some point in time that translates into something positive. Um I have to think that. I have to think that my style is going to at some point in time improve. Number one, I'm always learning. I'm always learning something new. Lead with the point, get to the point quick, and then explain later. That's what I learned currently, right? And then tell a story. It's not about just reading copy, but tell a story so that telling story is something that is entertaining, but at the same time, you got to get to that point. So that's what I've currently learned. And I'm hoping that by doing that, I will find myself in a way better space than a lot of people who try to do what I do, um, and find themselves in a space where they're not credible. They're not credible people. They're not entertaining because they don't have a story to tell, because they're just looking at headlines and telling you how they feel about the headline. And, something I've learned uh, looking at Max Kellerman, he said, one thing he talked about was his role on First Take was to find that deep, 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 deep point that may be a little bit off center, but has to be correct, has to be true, but a little bit off center to make people say, I didn't think about that. Right. And you may not agree with it, but you always have that feeling like, you know what he's saying is true. I just have a little different take on it. Okay. Which is the true definition of a hot take. Okay. And so that's what I try to do. I try to, number one, find that little nugget that's deeper, 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 right? A little nugget of truth that is deeper, deeper, deeper. At the same time, I want to tell you a story so that at the end of our discussion, we both feel like we had essentially a discussion. Now, we may not always agree. That's the one thing I learned as an adult, is that when I was younger, I used to always think you argue until the other person agrees with you, right? What I found is that a real discussion is not about having the person agree with you. I mean, have you ever had that where everybody just agrees to the same thing and eventually you become circular, like, yep, I know. And then it's just like, the air just drops out of the discussion because I mean, at the end of the day, you're not disagreeing. Like, okay, duh, right? As opposed to, well, I won't say as opposed to. Then there's another discussion where everyone's arguing, right? Trying to get their point across, and those do last longer. But then it's a little toxic, right? And you find yourself not wanting to really talk because it's like, I don't want to, I don't want that energy right now. I don't feel like having that energy, right? Well, there is a third option where, and I had a discussion with someone this past weekend, and we never did agree. We never did agree, and I ended up telling this person, you know what? I can see your point. I have a personal preference as to how I want, what I want around me, what kind of energy I want around me. And this is personal, right or wrong. This is how I feel. And you know what? Me and that person left feeling like not hostile to each other. We didn't hate each other. I listened to what they had to say. They listened to what I had to say. And at the end of it, we just understood like, oh, this person just thinks a certain way and they have a right to feel that way. I feel differently, but I have a right to feel the way I feel. And that person respected me. And so that's what I try to have is the discussion where this is how I feel based on, facts, based on reading, research, understanding what I'm reading, you know, getting the facts right. And whether you agree with it or not, you can at least respect how I look at it. You can at least respect my perspective. And so that takes us to this week's hot take, which is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to try something a little bit different. When I first started these hot takes, I was just reporting the news and then editorializing what I read, which is good. You know, I think there is a place for that. It's just what I wanted to do and what I need to do because I want to develop a style where people are like they're entertained for at least an hour. If you like I do this at 6 p.m., right? I do this at 6 p.m. California time. I know people that listen to me from Texas. Well, then it's 8 o'clock. There's people from New York. Well, it's 9 o'clock. So by the time I talk about the news that may be out there, man, you've heard it how many times? Okay. So I said to myself, just reading the copy and giving it a little opinion at the end, like maybe having 4 stories. Usually I would have 4 stories stacked on top of each other. And we would just, I would just editorialize whatever. I realized that people would be like, I'll get to it. Or I already seen that. I already know what's going on. Okay. It doesn't really give you any reason to say, okay, I'm gonna come back and listen to Mad Scientist for an hour. I said, okay. So I decided this week I'm gonna try something a little different. I'm gonna see how it works for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Hopefully, you guys will comment and let me know how you feel about this new approach that I have, and let me know what you think. I can go back to the just read the copy and give you my editorialize on it and move on, right? I can go back to that. That's easy. It's pretty easy. Get 4 stories. Typically with entertainment, you can go to TMZ, you can go to Shade Room. Every now and then you might just go to some real news organization like the Griot or somewhere like that, right? CNN. But you just read a little bit and then boom. So let me know what you guys think about this particular style that I'm going to introduce today. Um, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna hold you. It's kind of like I watch Rachel Maddow religiously, and one of the things I love about that show is that she tells stories. I mean, she still is going to tell you what's going on in the world, but it's involved in a story. And I find myself like really making sure every Monday I'm going to see her 6 p.m. Pacific time or 9 p.m. Pacific time. I'm going to watch it. And it's not because I want to hear the stories about what's going on. It's I want to hear her story. And her story is really, really deep. And it goes back to some historical perspective. And I find it entertaining. That's what I find. I'm trying to do what she does. I ain't gonna lie to y'all and be like, oh no, no, I invented this myself. I'm not gonna even tell you I'm good at it. I want to tell you, like, I'm gonna adopt that style and try to develop that and bring it into a hip hop space. So I'll be like the Rachel Maddow of hip hop. I don't know, but I just think it's really, really great what she does, and it gives credibility to what she says because she's giving you facts, which I feel like is something that needs to happen in this space, or we're gonna find what we're finding out now very quickly is that um, just getting in front of a camera, in front of a mic, and just talking is really not entertaining. And I know there's a lot of people trying to put money into this. I don't want to say I do a podcast, but let's just call it for the sake of this discussion, podcast space. And there's a lot of people trying to put money, but recently, um, DJ Head and Elliot, forgot Elliot's last name. Hold on, let me find out DJ Head and Elliot. Elliot Wilson, right? Their show just got the bigger picture. Yeah, their show just got canceled. And Joe Budden is like, "Hey man, it won't be the last one. It's gonna be many, many more." Now this is Elliot Head, who is a journalist. He is a real journalist, and DJ Head, who got his popularity during the time of the Drake and Kendrick battle, and they had a show. It was well financed, well produced. And at the end of the day, it gets canceled because at the end of the day, it's like, eh. And you got to wonder with all of these podcasts, all these talking heads out here, you know, why did it not last? You know, there's a lot of people out here. I mean, on the right, the left, the center, you know, doing business, doing not doing business, doing, just gossiping. What happened with hip hop? Why is it not? Why is it not sticking? And the only one it seems that you have is we're stuck with. I'm not saying stuck as in a bad thing, but we're stuck with Joe Budden. I mean, I'm an avid listener of the Joe Budden show, so I don't think it's a bad thing. But just to have one voice in the room, that's it. Well, we have DJ Academics. Okay. Well, what is it about just real hip hop discussions that don't stick, don't land? And so got to figure it out. And I'm trying to figure it out because I want to stick, I want to land. Okay. Speaking of sticking and landing, let me give you guys, um, well, before I get into that, I want to get into this. Got to do it. You know, it's something that, hey, man, it's part of the business. And whether you agree with it or not, got to do it. Want to introduce you guys to the Mad Scientist merchandise. Yes, we have many, 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 many pieces of merchandise. I just actually ordered some more today. Why did I order some more? Because, well, there's a lot of times I have events and I like to give them away for free. Okay. So I have the dad hat that is brand new. I just actually ordered one of those. So I'm gonna be getting that in a couple, probably a week and a half. It'll come in. Gonna get a dad hat. So when I'm on my other show on Fridays at 6 p.m., I'll be able to like wear my dad hat. Um, Also I have the hoodies. This is the probably the most popular of my pieces is the hoodies. Um, so if you have a chance, it's Christmas. Going over there, get your nice little hoodie. Don't wait because wintertime is going to end very quick. You're gonna look around and it's gonna be April. You're gonna be like, oh my God, I would have got it, but it's too hot. So get it now. Okay. You got the white logo hoodie, you got the black logo hoodie, and they come in different colors and different sizes. So don't worry about the colors and sizes. And then you got the Mad Scientist beanie. I also have various t-shirts. I got my original old school t-shirts. I got my Saturday brunch t-shirts. And then I got a backpack. What? So go to the website. All you gotta do is look at the QR code on the top right. Go ahead, scan that throughout the whole show. You can decide at any point in time. It's not limited time. You got to do it now or else. You don't have to do that. Just any point in time, you can go to the code at the top, go to the website, go to the shopping. Also on the website, for those who look for me in the music space, you can also find out about the you can also find out about my radio show, my music. If you want to be interviewed on the radio station, you can also click the button where it says Midday Madness interview. I'm taking up interviews now. I'm actually scheduling people to go to do interviews in 2026. So any interview that you sign up for is going to be in 2026. And then for those who like to come see me live, there's also a calendar of upcoming shows. It tells you location, tells you date. All you got to do is just click the button, get some free tickets, get some free reservations, and you are good to go. Okay. So it all comes down to the website. It all comes down to the website. All right. In 1862, there was a landmark U.S. law providing federal land to states to fund uh, um, to fund land grants. Okay, each state received about 30,000 acres from each member in its congressional delegation to sell. Okay, and essentially, what happened was what's going on at that time was there were a lot of people coming over from Europe, uh, Germany, Ireland, England. And when this country was set up originally by the King of England, well, actually, the colonies were set up. Many of them, the king would say, "Hey," to certain people, "Hey, go on over there, get some land. You know, go ahead and create some agriculture, get some business, send it back, and send back some taxes." Okay, that was the whole deal. Go get some land, cultivate it, do what you got to do. Grow cotton, grow. You can grow tobacco, whatever you need to grow. Make some money, send me some taxes back. Okay. Coincidentally, that's how my ancestors personally got here, primarily because my ancestors provided the free labor. Okay. Now, fast forward from the beginning up until to the late 1860s, we needed not we, but the United States needed more people to come over here, work the land. Okay. So they were like, hey, come on over here. We'll give you some land. Okay. We'll give you land to go over there. All you gotta do is just get it and claim it, work it, and do what you got to do. Okay. The hope was pretty much that these people knew how to, they knew how to like farm, right? We're a farming nation. You're people, right? You know how to farm. You just take some seeds, throw it in the ground, boom, watch it grow. Take some for yourself, send some of the food to market, make some money, and the nation prospers, right? Turns out that these people knew nothing about farming. I mean, they knew how to throw seeds in the ground. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. But actually understanding the agricultural, um, understanding the farming industry, nah, they sucked at it. Okay. They were not really, really good. Okay. So another thing that happened in 1862, okay, was the Moral Land Grant Act of 1862, in which they created colleges and universities. Now, this it's an impressive list of college. You'd be surprised what a land grant colleges are, right? This was the first wave. There were two waves. I'll talk about the second wave. The first wave was in 1862. So you got places like Cornell, the land grant university, MIT, okay, the UC system out here in California, okay, Penn State. Let me see if I can get a whole list of land grant universities. That's a whole list. Okay. Um, I want the list. I want the list. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time trying to get a list, but these are like prestigious universities, right? Now, in 1890, you had, because in this country in 1862, oh yeah, Purdue is another one. These are high level schools that you can't just get into right now, which is really crazy, right? Um, Now, at that same time, it was thought mm, black people and people from Europe, white people, should not go to school together. So in 1890, they said, we're going to start doing the same thing for black people, but they'll have their own separate space. So in 1890, um, they got some land grant universities. One example is North Carolina A&T. Okay. What these schools were designed to do essentially were to teach these newly gifted, land gifted farmers how to farm. Okay. They were teaching them about agriculture. So the A&T, the A in the A&T is agriculture. Okay. Um, and they were teaching them how to farm. They were teaching them the business of farming. Okay. So not only did you get free land, but you also got um, an education. Okay. To go with it. Now, stick with me. Okay. Not only did you, now, farming did go through some go through some ups and downs, right? You had people who really didn't, in this country really didn't understand how to farm. So what would end up happening is you farm one type of crop and you just taking all the nutrients out the soil and destroy the soil. So certain things you had to learn. In 1862, the USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture, was also established by at the time, President Abraham Lincoln. Okay. The whole point of the USDA was to oversee domestic nutrition programs and food safety, support producers, and maintain a food supply. Okay. Focus on rural development and businesses, help you, develop your business, teach you how, give you loans if you need a loan to go out and these are low interest government loans. So I can go out and get the equipment that I need, go out and get the supplies that I need, right? Conducts and supports agricultural science, develop the industry. So you had not only free land, okay, you not only had an education, but you had a government agency whose whole goal was to make sure we maintain this very important core function of the American economy. Okay, hey, if you need some money, we go low interest. We're not trying um to take advantage of you. And in fact, what we'll do is, yeah, we got my ancestors, these Africans that they're not citizens yet, but they used to be enslaved. Well, at the time, 1862, they were still enslaved, right? But after the Civil War, we got these people who used to be enslaved. Now they're free and they're really, really good at what they do. They know how to do this stuff actually. So, what we'll do is we will make sure that they don't have access to the land, they don't have access to the funding, they don't have access to anything. We'll push them out, we'll keep them out. They will not be your competition. We're going to make sure that this industry stays strong. And that's what the American government did for these farmers. Okay. They made sure that the industry maintained its strength and its relevance and a certain level of education and a certain level of research and development. Okay. Let's get the most latest techniques on how to farm. Let's make sure we make a mistake. We're going to learn from that mistake and we're going to make sure we keep this going. And even when the world market caught up and said, hey, we can farm too. The American government said, don't worry about it, farmers. We got your back. We will, through hard times and good times, we got your back. We'll give you some money. We'll float you. That's what they did to the American farming system. Okay. Fast forward to where we are right now. And we're talking about hip hop. Now, I'm pretty sure people will say, mad scientists, we're talking about food and you're trying to compare it to hip hop to food. Well, that would be a good point, except for the fact that for the most part, what I just described to you, where the government takes an industry and protects that industry, applies to many different things: banks, the housing market, the auto industry. Yeah, but mad scientists, come on, those things are necessary. I don't have to listen to hip hop. I need food. I need housing. I need a car. Well, then let's talk about the special exemptions that we have for the NFL. Let's talk about the special exemptions that we have for the NBA, the Major League Baseball. All these are protected industries. They were given protected and special um, tax breaks. These industries are able to go and get money from city governments, county governments, and essentially build stadiums with public money. So it's not just we need this industry and we'll protect it. It's done for even other entertainment industries. The difference is that hip hop, in my opinion, is uniquely black. And so what has happened is over the years, well, let's just say this. I won't get into the commentary. In 1908, W.B. Du Bois, I'm sorry, 1903. Got to make sure I get my times right. This is the first time, so I'm not going off a script. In 1903, W.B. Du Bois wrote his seminal book. It's a collection of essays and sketches, The Souls of Black Folk. Okay. The book contains several essays on race, some of which had been published earlier in the Atlantic Monthly. To develop this work, Du Bois drew from his own experience as an African American in American society. Outside of its notable relevance in African American history, The Souls of Black Folk also holds an important place in social science as one of the early works in the field of sociology. Essentially, um, Dr. W.B. Du Bois, in this case, officially, he got his, I'm looking at his education. He got his PhD from Harvard, one of the first African Americans. I want to say he's the first one. Um, but he is what I would call, and this is just my opinion, he was a data scientist, what we would call a data scientist right now. Okay. Now, officially, he's a sociologist, historian, writer, okay, and Pan-Africanist and civil rights activist. That's what they call him officially. But if you read any of his books, which I've read one and a half, okay, I read The Souls of Black Folk. If you're Africana Studies major, you're going to read The Souls of Black Folk. Okay, that's just one of the books you get up, okay, that you pick up and you read. And then I'm in the middle of reading Black Reconstruction. Now, if you know anything about that book, Black Reconstruction, you just can't just pick it up and read it. It's a long book. And the thing about W.B. Du Bois is he is so data intensive. Every word is meaningful. He's not an easy read. You're not going to sit there and just kind of like read it, but not be paying attention, or read it and kind of like at the same time doing something else. It's not that. You can't take it and just while you're on an airplane, just kind of read it. It's really data intensive. Okay. Every word has a meaning for the next word. And if you miss one word, then it's like, oh, it kind of throws you off for a whole paragraph. At least for me, that's my impression of it. So this was a very serious person. And one of the things that I was always impressed with him is that he was able to go into an area and really collect a lot of data and really talk to a lot of people, especially for his time and for who he was. Now, he was a little light-skinned, so maybe that gave him a little bit of privilege, but at the end of the day, he was still a very prominent African-American. Okay, he was a very prominent Black man. He made no bones about that. Everyone know who he was, and yet he still was able to, he decided to and was able to go into areas of the United States and get information from people, boots on the ground, and I had to have a tremendous amount of respect for that. All right, so I'm reading this book, The Souls of Black Folk, Chapter 8. Chapter 8 is called The Quest of the Golden Fleece. Of the Quest of the Golden Fleece. It's a kind of play on a story, The Golden Fleece, that Jason and Argonauts set out to find. Okay, we're not going to go into that story. But Du Bois starts with another mythological reference. He compares the field of ripe cotton gold against the black earth to the golden fleece that Jason and Argonauts set out to find. He states that the cotton industry has doubled in size since the Civil War, and despite many whites owning and working in the cotton industry, he claims that Black people are chief figures in the industry, actually production, and the field hands are worth studying. He says that the keynote of the Black belt is debt. He claims that it is the heritage of the wasteful economies of slavery, but also that it was emphasized by the emancipation of the slaves. Okay. Essentially, what this chapter discusses and talks about is the Black sharecropper, who were the primary producers of cotton. At this point in time, you got to remember, the Civil War is over. America and a lot of American people, especially in the South, made a lot of money off cotton. That's how they made their money, by owning people, my ancestors, and those people that they own producing cotton. Nobody at the time, there was no other group in this country not the Native Americans. They were being pushed into other areas, to territories, and they were being slaughtered and killed. Not the European immigrants. No, the poor ones were a lot of times just overseers. If they were in the South or they worked in the factories at that point, by that point in time, the end of the Civil War, they were working in the factories. Okay. Not the Chinese. They were helping build a lot of the railroads. It was the black people that knew how to produce the cotton, and cotton was king. And it was a lot of money being made, a lot of taxes. And also, cotton affected a lot of industries in the North, the insurance industries, the banking industries. They were all in the North. Okay. The shipping companies, these were all going out in the North. They weren't leaving Louisiana and going over to England, okay, to get manufactured. They were leaving out of the northern harbors and going over into Europe. So there were a lot of industry, a lot of jobs, a lot of people's livelihood tied up into whether or not one group of people were going to be able to produce this cotton. What W.B. Du Bois did is he actually went to a county in Georgia and he actually studied these black producers of cotton that was so essential to the American economy. Okay. And he actually studied the whole system. And when I read the book, I read this particular chapter, I realized, because I'm someone who, for my whole life, I've been trying to get into the music industry. Like since I was 16, I've been trying to get into the music industry. I've seen a lot of iterations of the music industry, and I've always been trying to get into the music industry. When I read this chapter, I realized that the 360 deal that we currently have in the music industry is is no different. Hey, what's up, Erica? Is no different than what the sharecropping system was of the late 1800s. You have a group of predominantly black people who are producing a product at this point, and instead of the American government, instead of the powerful corporations saying, okay, we're going to educate these people to make sure that these producers are protected. We're going to make sure that they are protected in terms of, given everything that they need to be successful. We're going to educate them. We're going to make sure that their product is protected globally. And we're going to create a government institution to make sure that they have everything they need. Okay, maybe we should do some development. Maybe we should do some research, find out how, make sure that these producers are able to work with um, the most cutting edge information, the most cutting edge um, technology. Instead of doing that, what we find in the cotton fields is the same thing we find in hip hop, where we have people who are brought in, taken advantage of, held into the system through debt. You got to understand when you're a sharecropper, you can't just say, "Oh, you know what? It didn't work this year. I'm out." No, you have all of governments, the local governments, the county governments, the state governments saying, "Yo, you signed this contract to be a sharecropper. If you're not successful, then you're going to stay on that land until you are successful. And we're going to determine what success is." So the price of cotton goes up, then we're going to raise your rent. If the price of cotton goes down, we're going to keep your rent the same way. Oh, well, you just owe us. You owe us that money and you can't leave until you become profitable. And if you try to leave the land, then we're going to arrest you and put you in jail and make you work anyway. How does that sound to a lot of you hip hop artists that are out there? The crazy part is this was a contractual agreement. Okay. This sharecropping was a contractual agreement. You signed the contract. You may not be able to know exactly what the contract says, but you understand, I know how to pick cotton. I know how to make sure I pick cotton. Okay. And so now you're signing a contract that you don't understand. Sound familiar? Okay. Then once you sign the contract, you go to a market. This is sharecropper. You go to a market, usually a white person owns the market, general market, and he kind of gives you your allotment of food, seeds, and whatever else you may need. Okay. He gives it, keeps an account. Once the cotton is grown, then the market person will come out, the merchant will come out, take possession of the cotton, make sure that the landowner gets their part. He makes sure that the merchant makes sure, like, okay, paid off all my debt, and we'll kind of give you what's left. And so, even though it's the intention of this black person to say, I own a business, I have a business, I'm sharecropping, really not. You're just caught up in a new system of slavery in which they have to say, well, I can't have you work for free. But what I will do, because that's illegal, that's called slavery. But what I will do is I will engulf you or I will keep you in debt. And then I will not allow you to control your actual product. You don't have control over this cotton. You can't say, well, you know what? I don't like your price. Let me sell it somewhere else. You'd, as a sharecropper, you wouldn't even know where to go to sell your cotton. I don't like your price. Let me go over there to this other person. He has a better price. Sound familiar? To those in hip hop, it should sound really familiar. All right, so let's get to the point of what I want to talk about today. Let's go with the latest update. Now, for those who don't know, Ebro in the morning was on the radio station Hot 97 show. And it's been on that show since 2012. Okay. Ebro with Laura Stiles and Pete Rosenberg. And it's a morning radio show, right? But it's a hip hop radio show. Now, last Friday it got canceled. So, that's a possibility whenever you're in any kind of entertainment space. Maybe it doesn't work. It just doesn't work out, right? What's so newsworthy about that, mad scientist? I get it. It's not really newsworthy. Shows get canceled. Crazy thing is, 50 Cent just today says that he kind of helped it get canceled. Let me read the story. This is according to, I don't know this. Um, I don't know this. I can't. They have a logo up. I don't know the name of this, but I'm just going to read it. 50 Cent says he's responsible for getting Ebro in the morning taken off the air at Hot 97. He explains his reasoning in a post on Instagram on Wednesday morning, reacting to a clip of Ebro blaming him for ruining the New York hip hop scene. In the video, Ebro explains, I told 50 he ruined New York hip hop. He spun it back around on me, talking about how I ruined New York hip hop. And then all his fans and fanatics ran with that. But first, it was 50 Cent who ruined New York hip hop. Y'all know nobody wanted to work together. People who are already popping in the city, everybody was hemming and hawing and soft shoeing because nobody wanted to work together because 50 Cent. 50 Cent responded to the accusation in a caption writing, that's why I put a word in to have your show taken off the air. You can't just go around saying nasty things about people. So that's the latest update. Now, maybe the Breakfast Club was going to be next. Maybe the Breakfast Club was on his way out. We don't know what's going to happen with the Breakfast Club. Let's see. Well, for those who don't like the Breakfast Club, I'm not one of them. I don't begrudge them. I'm a little wary about how they present the information they get. I feel like they're a little bit irresponsible with Charlemagne the God, but I don't want to see them totally taken out. But the latest is the Breakfast Club is headed to Netflix under a new deal inked with iHeartMedia. Netflix announced that 15 video podcasts, including the Breakfast Club, are joining its lineup after inking similar deal with Spotify. This week, the streaming giant announced it has signed an exclusive video podcast deal with iHeartMedia. That's interesting. Bringing a slate of popular video podcasts to the platform, including the long-running morning show, The Breakfast Club, according to Deadline. Okay. Now, this story is according to The Grio. The agreement covers 15 podcasts in total and marks Netflix's latest expansion into video-first podcast programming. The announcement comes just weeks after Netflix struck a similar deal with Spotify in October as the company continues to grow its podcast offerings and compete more directly with YouTube, which currently dominates the video podcast space. In addition to the Breakfast Club, the deal includes several other iHeartMedia titles, such as My Favorite Murder, Bobby Bones presents the Bobby Cats, Behind oof, Behind the Bastards, Dear Chelsea, This Is Important, Joe and Jada, and The Psychology of Your 20s, amongst other, Variety has reported. So Charlemagne the God, DJ Envy, and Jess Hilarious and Lauren LaRosa, I kind of predict they're not going anywhere. People were speculating that because Charlemagne the God signed a 5-year deal with iHeart in 2025. And they're like, okay, well, this is the 5th year. Are you still going to be there? And I'm pretty sure he's still going to be there. Okay. Because I'm pretty sure Netflix is not signing up just to get old podcasts. But the reason why I wanted to bring these both up and the reason why we're talking about this, and now we're kind of going into the editorial part, now that we've seen some of the background on this, is because we have a tale of two shows, both of them hip hop, but two tales. And it's very easy to say, well, one got canceled and one is going to keep going, right? Is that the story, Norman? Is that the story, Mad Scientist? Okay, it's easy to say that. The way I look at it is one of the one of the morning shows was profitable and the other one wasn't. One of the shows pretty much got sent to the chain gangs. These guys are probably going to have to. Ebro's he's at Apple. Apple's going to have to hold on to him, and it takes away his leverage. So whatever Apple decides to pay him, he will be paid. He has lost leverage in that space, in that hip hop space. Ebro has lost a lot of leverage. Same thing with Peter Rosenberg. He has lost a lot of leverage. When you lose that leverage in the entertainment space, now it's very hard to say, I want to be paid more money. If you look at Stephen A. Smith, Stephen A. Smith has a lot of leverage. He can say to ESPN, I want this much, because if not, I'll go somewhere else. I'll get the money I want. And ESPN says, there's not a lot of Stephen A. Smiths out there, so let's go ahead and pay the man. Versus you have the Breakfast Club, who, by the way, and I'm going to look this up just to make sure. I think I know this, but I'm going to look it up because I want to be responsible. Who owns the Breakfast Club radio show? iHeartMedia. iHeartMedia. iHeartMedia owns the Breakfast Club. It says right here, the Breakfast Club's radio show is owned and produced by iHeartMedia. So even though we all say, oh, wow, Charlamagne the God, DJ Envy, Lauren LaRosa, okay, and Jess Hilarious, wow, they're probably going to get paid more. We don't know. Probably will, but they don't own the show. Very similar to the sharecroppers who did not own their crops. So that once the crop was up and the cotton crop was up and everything was going well, it's going to be a good crop. What ends up happening? The merchant comes out, takes hold of the crop, doles it out to other people. Okay, to maybe the landowner, not maybe, they would dole out their portion to the landowner, other investors. Everybody else gets to participate in the crop, except for the people who are producing the crop. Now, the reason why I said I wanted to discuss this, and I'm going to get to the point, is because there's an very interesting discussion online about the state of hip hop. And the prevailing thought about hip hop is, the problem with hip hop is we need more gatekeepers coming back. It's too much garbage out there. It's too overly saturated. We need our gatekeepers to come back. These artists need to be developed. And it was very easy to feel that way because we all have our thoughts on hip hop music, how it should sound. And we all have the kind that we don't like, we do like. Oh, I like West Coast. No, I like New York. I like boom bap. No, I like trap. Oh, no one likes mumble rap. And it's very interesting to me looking at people's response and people's suggestions for how hip hop can get better. And having overseers, I'm sorry, gatekeepers, tends to be the first solution. What I'm suggesting to you today is that there has not been any other industry, serious industry, in which there has not been a cooperation between the capitalists, the people with money, the producers, the landowners. Yes, they're still landowners. Costco doesn't own that land that it's on. Everybody has a Costco. You've seen Walmart. They don't own that land. So there has to be a cooperation between the investors, okay, or the capitalists, the landowners, the producers. Okay, there has to be a cooperation, and then it has to be sustained, protected through government interaction with the industry. If you look at any other industry, that is always how it happens. You look at the airline industry. People didn't come in knowing how to run airlines. The car industry. The people didn't come in knowing Ford, the Ford family didn't come in knowing, okay, this is how we're gonna run this car company, and this is how we're gonna run this car industry. For those who are old enough, we remember Barack Obama saved the car industry. Remember that? For those who are old enough, we remember Barack Obama saved the banking industry. Remember that? That was government intervention into the industry to make sure that that industry thrives and survives. More importantly, look at the educational requirements. Okay, well, should we make people go get an education for hip hop? I'm suggesting that maybe we should offer it as an option so that the people who are coming in, and I don't mean like at a college or university, I mean in high school, where most of these kids, like myself, figure out, hey, I want to be in the music industry. So if I'm taking high level math, if I'm required to take high level English, history, why can't I take courses on the music industry? Because everything that involves in music industry involves science, history, math, reading and writing. All the things that you learn in high school, since all the things you learn in middle school, actually. Oh, my bad. All the things you learn in elementary school. So there is no reason why you cannot have the curriculum for the music industry, not just music, but music industry early on. Also, in addition to that, why can't we have government agencies? You have a government agency called the HUD, which makes sure that it provides low interest loans for people who want to buy a house. You buy FHA loan, you get a low interest loan, and not only do you get a low interest loan, your credit score don't have to be as high, and they give you education component. Hey, come to the seminar, learn about how to be a homeowner. We have it for all these other industries. Why can't we do the same thing for hip hop? Because as a result of us not doing it, we have a situation where we have one show being canceled and those people losing leverage. Their income will be impacted. It will not be ended. Ebro's at Apple. Apple will probably take care of him. Okay. They'll put him on the porch and say, hey, this is what you get. You didn't make it. You're not Charlemagne the God, but you got a good income. He might make $500 to $1 million a year, whatever. Peter Rosenberg, I think he's with WWE. Hey, you're a good guy. We like you. Laura Stiles, not really sure what she's into, but I'm pretty sure she'll find a radio job somewhere. Okay. And she'll make a pretty good income. So I'm not feeling like their life is over. At the same time, Charlemagne the God, I mean, this guy's a multimillionaire. Trust me. Okay. If you look up their salary, so you don't have to look it up, they make about $3 million a year. I'm pretty sure they'll give him a bump. But they don't have control over that product. Yes, you were very profitable. Good job. You made some good cotton. Now we're going to take this cotton off your hands. We're all going to make more money off of it. Netflix is trying to make a power move over YouTube. It is trying to gain leverage. It is taking content away from YouTube and saying, we're going to take that content, YouTube, because we need to put it onto our system over here in Netflix. And as a result, because we have more content on our system, all you customers, we're going to charge you more money. So I'm going to be charged more money because now you got these podcasts on there. And yes, I'm going to pay for it because I want to watch the movies, not the podcast, but the movies. And trust me when I say this, they're not going to pay Charlemagne the God, DJ Envy, or Just Hilarious or Laura Style. Just Hilarious, anything comparable to what they'll be making from millions and millions and millions. Even if they just charge us $1 more, which they won't, it'll probably be $5. But if they just charge $1 more per year, per month, per year, they're going to make way more money off that product that's being produced by the Breakfast Club. It's very interesting to me that they have a whole list of podcasts that they're getting, but the one that they put out, the one that hit the news, was the Breakfast Club. Because Charlemagne and DJ Envy, they make such good cotton. All right, y'all, listen up. This is your boy DJ Mad Scientist. It's enough of the lecture. I appreciate those who sat here and watched me fumble through this. This is the first time I've presented information this way, so it was a little rusty. I feel like I got to do a little bit more work, pre-work, in order to make this really, really sound smooth. But for those who stayed here, I appreciate you. Hopefully you find it entertaining the way I did it. Comment, please. Like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you think about how I presented this information. And if you guys tell me, oh, it sucks, go back to your old way. Okay, I'll try it a couple more times. If it just doesn't work, then I'll go back to my old way. but this might work. I don't know. We'll see. Just trying to be innovative because at the end of the day, I own the product that I make. And so anything that I do, I don't have to worry about somebody coming and just taking it off my land and saying, you know what? That's some good cotton. All right. I'll be back on Friday. I'm in the middle of a series where I'm discussing music marketing, and I'm talking about how to format your music correctly so that you have success. And I'm actually showing you what I'm doing because I need a banger this year. 2026, I gotta have a banger. Okay. And I'm teaching myself just like I'm teaching you. It's not a how-to, it's you just seeing what I'm going through at the same time. So come back on Friday at 6 p.m. if you want to see that. Um, if not, I will see y'all next Wednesday. And again, I'm gonna try the same format. We'll see how it works out. And I'll look at your comments. Just send me a couple comments. Let me know what you think. All right, you guys. Peace out.